lesson or whatever, or a workshop right here. I'll be trying to, help with all the audio stuff that you may have questions on. Let me just share my screen real quick. Um, I might have shown your names like on Discord, but I'm sure that's not going to be too much of a problem. Okay, so you guys should be able to see my screen on Discord right now, right? My OBS screen at least. Okay.
When the ads are done.
Yeah, it should be in a workshop VC. Yeah, we have 4 spectators. So you guys can see this right now, right? So first of all, in this audio mixer, this is where most of your audio changing stuff will happen, right? If you click the gear, that should also be the same for Streamlabs as well as most other programs. If you can't find that in your unique program, just try finding filters or anything which has any of like these options right here. I'll just remove these, like just hide them so they don't affect my own audio. But first of all, I'll help with like the people who have noisy like background environments, right? Like let's say you have pets or you have like children or like family members screaming and all that, right? Normally, their voice will never be as loud as yours, right? So there's actually a way to quiet down your background noise without actually affecting your own noise, right? This is also applicable to people who have who like make sounds and don't want people to hear them and all that, right? That is called the noise gate. This noise gate basically says, hey, anything underneath this threshold, right? I'll close the gate so no one can hear it, right? Anything above this threshold, uh, you know, you will be able to hear it, right? So this basically just quiets down the background noise, static, and like all of that stuff, as well as your noise floor, which is inherent in every microphone, right? I actually have a program which does all this noise gate stuff in my own mic right here, right? And I'll pretty much be using this for like the VC itself, right? Because you can't really hear it like because I'm not really sharing my OBS. But so here, right, this noise gate right here, if I don't have it without any like audio jazz or whatever, right? If I'm quiet, uh, wait, what? Yeah, if I'm quiet without it, right, there should be some static down here. You see how there's this bar right here where you can kind of see it like lighting up even if I'm not saying anything? That's the inherent noise floor of your mic. This basically is a factor of multiple elements, including how noisy your background is, as well as how high your gain is for your own mic, right? And if you want to make your mic sound more high quality, right, just add a noise gate, and the default settings most of the time should be fine. However, I would suggest lowering it a bit if you want if you're a very quiet person, right? This is useful, right? Because if let's say someone's walking in the background, or if like let's say I'm tapping away at my keyboard really quietly or whatever, right? That will help reduce background noise, which may distract people. So if I turn this on, right, there's no more of that green stuff over here, right? If you guys in the call have any questions or anything of the sort, right, please do shout out. I will answer questions like as you guys have them, so that way I won't have to. I mean, that way you guys won't have to like do anything of the sort, you know? Okay, next thing, the compressor, right? The compressor is really useful because if let's say I'm like too loud, right? Like let's say I suddenly scream, I shall not scream in the sake of your ears, right? But if I do something of that sort, right? What this will do, right, is basically say anything above the threshold, right? So anything above negative 18 decibels. So right here, right? I shall reduce it by a ratio of 18 to 1, and that shall start after I talk for 6 milliseconds, which is the tack, and it will stop after 60 milliseconds, right? And that basically just, if let's say we have a linear graph, right, like a linear line of your volume, right? As soon as you reach past that threshold, it starts going at a lower slope, you know? The output gain right here, that basically says, hey, if this compressor makes my voice too soft, right, I can make my voice louder. Look through the OBS program. I'm peaking now. Sorry, everyone that watched the stream. I forgot there were people actually watching, but um, but yes, that will make me peak if I go too loud. But if let's say you're a very loud person, right, you can lower your output. However, there is one thing to note: this output gain is not the same as your actual mic's gain itself, right? So if let's say you have a Yeti, right, as one of the people watching the call right now is, right, this output gain is not the same as your gain knob. If let's say your mic is peaking, right, and you lower the output gain, right, it will still not, stop it from peaking. You can only stop, your mic from peaking by changing your own mic's, gain. Okay.
I was very confused when you said that the Yeti has a gain. I just flipped it over and saw it.
Yeah, the gain knob is basically your volume knob or how sensitive your thing is. The higher your actual mic's gain, right? The higher the noise floor as well as the higher the distortion. So normally, right, if you're using a mic, right, with a gain knob, this doesn't apply to those without a gain knob. Don't worry about this if you don't have a gain knob, right? But if you have a gain knob, you want your gain to be low, and then you want to improve your gain through your actual either software and or OBS. And this is kind of useful, right? Because that allows me to have a low gain, aka a low noise floor, aka low distortion, and like high audio quality, versus having and then I can increase that, and that won't really reduce any of the quality or anything or distort things. Okay, so we'll go to the next my next favorite thing. So you guys know how sometimes you're listening to music and it overpowers your voice, like it overpowers your voice real bad or whatever. Um,
Yes.
Okay, if one of you guys could like just talk in the background real quick, like just keep.
Hello.
Okay, so there's another thing called this compressor right here, right? If my background, like let's say the game I'm playing is really noisy, right? And I start talking, I can make a compressor, right? And I can set a side chain or ducking source. This basically says, hey, whenever my voice is active, right? Like whenever I'm talking, right? Instead it will turn on this compressor right here, right? So let me see. So my oh, this is the wrong thing. This should go on your desktop audio right here. This should go on your desktop audio, right? So if I set this compressor right here, or sidechain slash ducking source, right? If I'm listening to music, let me quickly pull up, Stream Beats, right? Stream Beats by Harris Heller. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna just play some music, and if you guys want to hear it, like hop into the stream or like my Twitch or whatever. But here we go, some stream beats in the background. Okay, so now that I have this sidechain slash ducking source, right? If I start talking, right, you see how my like the music goes down, and when I stop talking, the music goes back up, right? This kind of allows you to have loud music without actually overpowering your own voice, as well as without washing out your own voice, right? The optimal settings for one of these things I found is depending on how loud you are, as well as how loud the music is, right? So this music is very loud compared to my own voice, right? So I might want to increase the ratio, so that will make it more of a drastic decrease, as well as lower the threshold, right? So if I start talking, right, you see the music bar goes way down right here in the desktop audio right here. So that's very useful, especially if you're game playing or if you're reacting or if you're doing something which requires the other person, like your viewers, to be able to hear your own audio, you know? Okay. That is very useful in general. I highly suggest doing it if you're playing like games or whatever, so that way, your voice isn't completely washed out by the audience. Some general notes, right? You see this gain option right here? Your voice should almost always be within the yellow. The yellow is where your voice should be. So if I increase this, right, my default settings for my mic will always put my voice within this yellow right here. But if it's not within this yellow right here, right, you can use this gain to either make your voice a bit louder, right, or you can make it a bit softer. But yeah, I'm in desktop audio, so it's not doing anything there. But you can kind of imagine, and or if you're in the stream, you can kind of hear if I just start playing with this gain knob right here. So if I do it up here, right, you see how this is going higher, right? And if I move this gain down, right, it will make my voice softer. And in general, what this gain does is it's not really gain, it's more of your volume, right? So this is your volume or like how loud you are. And normally in OBS as well as in Streamlabs OBS, right, you only have the option to make it quieter here, right? You can only make it quieter. However, if you want to make it louder than the default, right, you go into filters, go into plus, and then you can create a gain. Okay, next thing, expander. Honestly, I don't really use this too often because I normally just use a gate instead. But it's kind of like a noise gate, but slightly more, advanced. At least that's my understanding of it. I don't really use it too often, and I don't know why you would really need it because it just kind of works as a noise gate, you know? there's a noise gate option right here. It might be a bit more like, complicated. It takes a bit longer to like kick in and all that, right? And you have a lot more options, but you probably don't want to deal with all that, you know? If you're watching a video from me or if you're in like this call right now, you probably don't want to go too in depth into things, right? um, okay, next thing, inverse polarity. You're pretty much never gonna use this. Like, yeah, like if you're pretty much never gonna use that. I don't know it does, and most people just suggest to stay away from it, you know? Okay, limiter. So this limiter right here pretty much says, so you know how the gate is, hey, anything above this volume, let it go through. The limiter is the opposite. Anything, whenever it reaches this volume, don't let it go above that volume, right? So basically, it's kind of like a compressor, but hard instead. While a compressor kind of just softens and like lowers your voice increase, the limiter instead will go, hey, I'm not gonna let anything go above this point. And that is very important because that avoids you from being able to peak your mic. You remember how when I increased my gain, my this entire bar became red. That means that your audio is peaking, and or that is when your audio gets really bad. Think of it as like your Call of Duty mic, as in like how bad it sounds. Let me increase my gain for my actual mic to kind of show you how it sounds. So this is how it sounds like when my gain is too high and it's constantly peaking, right? It's not peaking in the software, but it's probably sounding really horrible for everyone in the call, right? Don't do that. Don't set your mic gain too high. You want your gain at a safe level, and then increase your master output or your output or whatever other software settings you have, right? Keep your audio within this area and keep your mic from peaking. So low gain, also low distortion because of low gain. Okay, next, noise gate. I believe I have already shown you guys this, right? But anything that goes above this, you can hear it. Anything that goes below it becomes completely silent. That's very useful. Very useful if you're like noisy household, people going around. You don't want like people to hear your like parents talking. Oh, hello, hello, HP, or also known as Pope Gaming. But yes, ignore what he's saying in chat. And this VSXT plugin, I believe it just allows you to like have plugins and like install things into OBS. I haven't played with this. You can kind of get get around things with just the default settings, I guess. Okay, I'll remove this for now. Okay, so now that I've shown you guys all the filters, right? There's a lot of other useful settings that you can have, right? So within your settings, right? Within output, right? You can actually double like the audio bit rate, or like you can change the audio bit rate of your actual voice itself, right? And this is very useful if you have like a high quality mic and you want to show it off, or if you just want higher quality audio in general. You go into this, set your audio bit rate to something a bit higher, I can't do it because I'm streaming right now, but if I stopped streaming, I would be able to show you how to do that. But then you can't see it anyways because unless you're in the Discord, there's also all this other settings that you can do, but that doesn't really affect anything audio-wise. I normally just suggest increasing your audio bit rate because that kind of doubles your quality. Like, the difference between like, sounds in Discord. You probably have played around with those in Discord channels, right? You can increase your thing by like 160 bits, right? For basically free. I don't really see much reason unless, you really don't have the bandwidth for that. And that's pretty much most of the audio stuff that you really need to deal with if you're playing with OBS, Streamlabs OBS, and all that other stuff. However, if you do want a bit more jargon, right, I can kind of show you within this mic right here. Ah, shoot, my mic is... Okay. Hopefully this sounds a bit better now, but, I was in the wrong polar pattern, or, all this. It was using the wrong pickup design, I guess. But high pass filter lets certain frequencies through and not others. This is very useful if, let's say, you have like high screeching or whatever else, noise reduction. There's a lot of noise reduction programs. You can kind of see that in Discord, right? With your noise suppression powered by Crisp, right? Pretty much everyone has this option on Discord, right? But interestingly, you also have this option on OBS as well. Noise suppression right here. See? Thank you for the posture check. You have two options for this RNN noise or speed X. It's up to you which one you would use, but I don't think the actual CPU consumption is high enough that you would actually care if it's RNN noise or SpeedX, you know? Specs? Either one, you know. But yeah, if you do have a noisy background, this is also option. I would suggest a noise gate and this if you really want it. But the problem with noise suppression is it normally makes your voice sound a bit more muddled. You could hear that if I did this in, Discord, right? Uh, uh, Wait, why can't I activate it in Discord? There we go. I should be sounding slightly more muddled than I normally do, right? And that's the thing about noise suppression. It does lower your background noise, like if you have a cat, if you have dogs, if you have children, if you have cars, etc., right? However, it might lower your voice quality by a bit. And okay, let's go for the other settings. The expander gate, I've told you. De-esser, right? So this, you know how like some streamers have very heavy S sounds? Like, when they say S, it like goes really high pitched and really loud, right? The de-esser basically avoids that as well as, pop sounds, right? Well, not pop sounds, but when I'm saying S, it's not as bad as normal. um, if you Okay then. But if you have a de-esser, it might help. This is like hardware stuff. I mean, software stuff that you may be able to do. Compressor, I've already shown you. Limiter. Okay, you guys have probably heard of EQing your voice, right? A voice EQ. There are multiple programs you can do this with. I'll be kind of showing you one later, right? But a voice EQ basically allows you to make, your highs higher and your lows lower, or like lows higher as well, right? And that kind of allows you to make your voice sound a bit more expressionate, you know? This allows you to kind of like change the flavor of your voice, I guess. And you can actually have a lot of different ways to do this, but your own mic will also affect how it sounds in like one way or another. I'm using a Yeti X, which has these settings. However, you can get these settings through other programs fairly easily. So you don't really need this. Don't buy an expensive mic just for this. However, it is useful, you know? Um, okay, now I'll go to the next thing. Voice meter. If I'm going a bit fast, please tell me. I'll slow down for all of you guys, right? But voice
Copy
meter.
that.
Okay, that's good. That's good. But if you have voice meter, right? To download voice meter, you normally download the voice meter cable, VB audio cable. I'll post that in chat, right? As well as a few other things. So VB audio cable, right? VB audio cable. I'll post that in both of these chats right here. This one right here. Yes, they can't see the chat. Thank you. I will be posting in another chat right here. Where is it? I'll post it in audio workshop, or I don't know which chat to put this in. I'll just put it in ask a mentor, right? So I have it here, right? That link right there. Uh, don't download it until I actually show you the features, so that way you can kind of tell if you want to do it or not, you know. And then VB voice meter right here. Yeah, voice meter banana, I believe, is the latest version of it. Or is it potato? It's potato, isn't it? Yeah, voice meter potato is the latest version of this, right? So basically, to download this, right, you open up both of them, download, and then you restart your computer because it needs to do all like the audio stuff, right? And then once you do that, you can set your hardware input, which is your mic, right? So you can see where this mic is, right? Um, like let's say my Yeti, right? And then you can put in your output, which should always be the cable, right? And by using that, you can actually go into Discord or OBS and set that as your main mic, right? So I'm gonna just go into properties and set my OBS mic as my voice meter mic, right? So you see this voice meter mic right here, right? So now, if let's say you don't have a ASMR mic, right? You right click this panel right here. This will work for Potato. This will work for pretty much everything else, right? Now you have the option of virtual ASMR, right? So now I'm sounding like I'm from the left, even though I'm not moving my head at all. Now I'm sounding like I'm from the right. And now I can kind of sound like I'm doing both, I guess. But that does allow you to do ASMR, even if you don't have an ASMR mic. It's not going to be as good as actual ASMR, you know? But it is an option if you don't want to like cash out that extra $60 or like $100 or how many much that counts these days, you know. You can get one for like $200, I know for a fact. However, if you don't want that, just do it for free. There's no reason not to. Okay, next thing. If let's say you have a problem with, hey, my voice sounds too high, right? Or hey, my voice sounds too low, right? You can also kind of make your voice sound lower with this, or you can make it sound higher. Let me swap my Discord mic to this for a second, so that way I can show you on the call, okay? Voice and video, set your input device as your VB audio cable. So cable output, this one it should be correct, right? And now if if you hear this, right, you should be able to hear that I'm going a bit lower on Discord, right? And now my voice should be a bit higher on Discord and as well as on the call, you know? You can't hear ASMR within the Discord, right? Because Discord only supports mono sound. However, it will be helpful otherwise, you know? Um, and that's the general gist of most of this stuff, you know? This also has a fader gain. This fader gain, as well as, you know, all the other programs, is not a gain setting. It is volume. It will make you louder, it will make you softer. However, it will not, you know, avoid your mic from peaking. If you want your mic not to peak, either move back, talk quieter, or or lower your gain settings if you have that. Okay. So now we are almost done. I know it's a mouthful, right? If you have any questions and everything, I will go back over it, right? Now I'll go over, you know, actually like setting up your mic itself, right? This will be useful for most things, right? The thing about a pop filter, right, is that a pop filter is normally there so that your P sounds or your like p, b, and like all those sounds, right, don't get directly into the mic. However, if you don't want to shell out those $20, $30 that might take, it's closer to 10. But you know, if you don't want to shell out that extra money, so you put it to the side of your face, right? Don't put your mic right in front of your face, right? And angle the front of the mic towards the side of your lip. And that will prevent most of the pop sounds. And that's a free solution to avoiding you know, needing to use a pop filter. Um Another thing, right? You normally want your face to be around 6 inches away, but if you're farther away, right, you can increase your gain, and if you're closer, decrease your gain. And that's almost everything. Okay, so a few other things that you can't hear on the call, right? For Yetis and for like other things, right? They might have different settings. For example, omnidirectional mode, right, will allow you to have a 360 round. So that's like if you're playing a band and all that, right? So that way everyone can hear evenly. Cardioid is right in front, right? So this is gonna be your main thing if you're just talking to the mic. Bidirectional is front and back, so this is best for like, you know, if you're doing an interview. And then stereo is your left and the right. So this is for your ASMR. And yeah, that's pretty much everything you guys need about audio. If you have any questions or anything of the sort, please ask. Now is the time. Uh,
I had a question about the one that you were just on. Is that one directly for the Blue Yeti?
this is the Blue Yeti X, so like the most updated version. However, you can do most, if not all, these things in Voice Meter and OBS, so you don't really need it. You know, it's just nice to have because I can have all my stuff in one place. You know.
Alrighty then, that makes sense.
Yep, yep. And you know, Voice Meter in general helps your mic a lot. Just play around with the settings and all that stuff, and you can like, you know, make your voice lower. You can make your voice higher, and or you can just add reverb. Reverb. But
Definitely, this would be a big help for me because I have a very talkative cat in the background.
yep.
Luckily, when I was muted, that's when he was doing his thing. But for me, I do feel bad because my one thing was always the sound of my keyboard or the mouse clicking, my cat, the TV, and it's very hard to have all these sounds at once when you're trying so desperately to get it to like not have that background noise. And I kept trying and trying, and now this has helped me probably.
Yeah, so what you really need to do to like, you know, avoid your cat, right? Is first of all you need to know around where your voice is, right? So you can see that my voice for my mic right now, right, is around -20, right? So I'm gonna give it a bit of a barrier. So I'm gonna like stop at one like 30 right here when I'm talking, right? Or if I wanna like, you know, whisper during my streams or whatever, I find out where that is, right? I open up filters, right? I put in a noise gate. So then I find where I want to stop and where I want to do the other thing, right? So 30 sounds good to me, right? So if my cat's walking around in the background, right? This will help. However, my cat is right up to my mic and like mailing into it. Nothing's gonna help with that, you know? um, But yeah, this does help with cats. This does help with children. This does help with annoying family members and anything else of the sort.
All right, thank you.
Indeed, indeed. I'll look through the chat to see if you guys have any other questions. If you have any questions, please post it into the chat. Ask a mentor and or my stream chat. And yeah, okay. Okay.
I
So,
I have a frequently asked question actually that I get a lot.
yep.
I wonder if you could show if how can you separate your audio for music and your mic. So
Hum.
let's say for example, I'm playing a game and I only want to hear my music, or I only want chat to hear the music and I don't want to hear it.
I'm actually not too sure about that because I've never had to
Oh,
like, record since I'm mostly a streamer, right? But I'll look into. Oh wait, here it is. So, you go into the advanced audio properties, right? And then you go, you know? That was way too easy. But yeah.
For audio splitting in particular, you actually can use voice meter. I used voice meter banana, and you can split the audio tracks that way.
Oh yeah, there's
Um,
also that option as well.
yeah,
Uh,
when you split the tracks like that, it's usually only for recording, but they can still hear like all of the tracks through the through the stream.
yeah, yeah.
It doesn't it's not selective of like what comes out of the stream. Usually you
Yeah,
can only separate it through like virtual audio cables and the usage of voice meter.
yeah,
You're
this
able
stuff
to
is
do that.
mostly only, for recording and everything else. Thank
Mhm.
you for the
Right.
help, Famiko.
Yep,
uh,
of course.
and yeah, there's a few other things you can do, right? And a few other settings because I wanted to like kind of show you guys everything, right? I completely forgot about this, but if you click here and you click advanced audio properties, right? You can increase your volume or not. That's the same as the gain, pretty much. If your mic is like, if let's say my mic's really weird, I've actually seen this in 2 or 3 people's mics while they're streaming, right? If it sounds like it's coming from the right or from the left, and you can't find a way to fix that, like for example, hey, I have a Blue Yeti, or like I have something that doesn't have ASMR setting. Blue Yeti does have it, but I don't know how to turn it off. And or if I have a mic which is just really cheap, right? I can click this mono right here. And I can also kind of do this balance thing right here to kind of fix my balance if I want to do that instead. That might be able to do something close to virtual ASMR. However, I don't think it is as good? um,
With my Blue Yeti, I have a knob on the back that actually lets you switch between ASMR on
yep,
both
yep.
sides or direct forward. So would that just be better to mess
Yeah,
with
that would be
that
better
on the
for
mic,
ASMR.
or
Yeah.
okay?
If you have an ASMR mic, please use the ASMR mode instead of, a virtual ASMR setting, right? Because, it's always better to have the real thing. And especially Yeti is very popular with ASMR enthusiasts. So, yeah.
Oh, that's good then. Thank you.
Indeed, indeed. That's pretty much everything. Let me just go through this chat right here and see if you guys have any questions. Yes, the most hated VTuber. This is freeware. Well, aside from my actual Yeti Logitech G Hub, that's only for this microphone itself. Okay. Yeah, banana is also fine. I'm using the original version. I'm not too sure if there is a month a trial or anything, but if there is a trial, please do heed his words and follow the use
It
banana
locks you
instead.
out after
Yes.
36 days.
Thank you. Thank you for the correction. I actually didn't know that. That's very helpful. Thank you. Yes, because Discord is very dumb. You cannot have ASMR over Discord. Which pattern should we use for the Blue Yeti? So you normally want to use a cardioid pattern, which kind of looks like, the big one and then, the small one. Let me find cardioid pattern Blue Yeti. So here are the pattern, how they look and like all the symbols and everything, right? You should normally use the cardioid mode for normal streaming because this will get you the clearest audio within the Yeti itself, as well as most other things. The other things, such as stereo, are normally for ASMR, playing instruments, etc., etc. Right? Cardioid is mainly for just one person talking in front of it. Omnidirectional, if like you have a band or something, bidirectional interviews, other cases where you might need that. But yes, that is what you kind of need there. um, okay, yeah, a sock is also really nice. A sock is really nice. Putting it offset to your face is also an option. and or using an actual pop filter. I rather not because it's kind of clunky. But yes. um. Yes, this will be on YouTube, Tommy. However, if you have any questions and or anything of the sort, please post it in the chat. Um, Putting a sock on top of the mic kind of works as a pop filter. A pop filter works by what is it? Kind of slowing down the air so that way it doesn't have the initial wind like pop, like that kind of sound. So a pop filter kind of just acts as a small barrier to slow down that wind and make your sound a bit clearer. That's for Kai right there. Um, yeah, that's what. I thank you, Hated, for answering all these questions. It's very helpful. And the difference between a Yeti and a snowball. A snowball only has one option normally, right? It might have another few like cardioid patterns. However, a snowball normally has less. A snowball ice is cheaper than a snowball. A snowball is kind of like your entry level mic. It doesn't have any gain knobs or any of those settings. However, its gain should be fine. There are a few videos I would actually suggest if you're using a snowball. If you want the highest quality possible, right? Okay, yeah. No, I have a video for you. Give me one quick second. Okay, this guy has a really good tutorial, right? And pretty much he teaches all this, voice meter stuff and everything just for the, snowball ice. And I really like his tutorial. He teaches you how to install everything. I highly suggest watching him. And yeah. No cheers. But yeah. If you bought a Yeti is a upgrade from, a snowball ice, a snowball as well. You have a lot more options with the Yeti. You have a lot higher quality as well. So don't regret your decision if you're planning on streaming, if you're planning on doing anything of the sort. A snowball is indeed a upgrade. I mean, a Yeti is indeed an upgrade. A Yeti is way better than, a snowball. So yeah. um Please support me on Twitch. uh Yeah, don't drop it. Never drop your, microphone. There is no point in dropping your microphone. Always put it in a safe location. Don't put it at the side of the table. Have a good, bass and all that stuff. If let's say you're suffering from vibration from your keyboard or from like you gaming and everything and people can hear that, you might want to invest in like, arm and like attach it to something else so that way the vibrations aren't as strong. However, you don't really need that most of the time. A $20 articulating lamp. Um, that sounds kind of dangerous, if I'm gonna be perfectly honest, but yeah. Yeah, it does, work as a cheap shock mount. Yeah, a cheap shock mount does work. Either that, right? Or you can just put your mic on top of a pillow or like stack of towels. That also kind of helps, but not as well as an actual shock mount. If you're using a shock mount, right, don't attach it to your desk in which you're playing games on. Attach the shock mount to another surface. Like if you have a shelf nearby or anything else that won't actually be influenced like at all by your tapping. And yeah. uh, uh indeed.
Actually, could you briefly? Sorry, I wasn't paying super close
No,
attention.
don't
But
apologize. Don't apologize. I have a question section for a reason.
oh, thank you. Could you briefly go over just for people who want to like mute for stream, like setting up shortcuts for audio, muting and
Um.
deafening through OBS?
Oh,
Do
okay.
you?
So if you have different, like for the thing I do, right, is I just kind of have all these settings right here, and you can kind of put them on and off when you want, and that's kind of like one of the things about like knowing what you're doing. For example, I almost always have my what is it? Shoot, is it? Oh wait, it's on the wrong thing. I almost always have my sidechain or ducking source like on, right? However, if I'm in like the situation where hey, I'm kind of on a call with it right now, and I want to like let people actually hear on the stream, right? I won't have that. So you can always turn these on and off, and as long as you name them correctly, it's fairly easy to like turn them on and off. For example, I'll always have the limiter on my desktop audio, right? I'll always have the compressor on pretty much all the time, right? Because that's just a general thing you want to have most of the time, right? I'll always have the noise. Well, I might not always have the noise gate on. Like if I'm listening to music, I don't want them not to be able to hear like the very subtle parts of the music, right? Or if I'm playing a game, I don't want them to not hear like some parts of it, right? So there is really no easy way to do all this stuff, like a preset, right? But you can just kind of duplicate this, right? You can label it. You can also, kind of just make a compressor, right? Just turn it off, put a name on it, and be like, anything above this, anything above this for gaming, right? You can do something kind of like that as well, I'm not too sure if there's a way to do like an audio preset or like all that, but yes. A macro
Oh no.
keyboard.
Sorry, I was talking about like muting your mic to stream as a
Oh,
hotkey instead of the preset.
okay.
Do you know how
I
to set that
believe
up?
it should be in here. Let me see if it's in here. I don't actually do that because I do everything through OBS, but there's a lot of hotkeys that you can set right here. Vroid. Oh yeah, here it is. See, there's the mute thing right here. For every audio source, including web docs, right, including your screens, including everything else, right, you can have a mute thing right here, right. So if I keep scrolling down, eventually I have a desktop audio mute right here, right. So I can set it to my number 3 key, right. I can set my unmute for the number 3 as well, and that should work in theory. Let's see. Yeah, it works. See?
Yeah,
So
great. Thank you so much.
yeah, no problem. Go into settings, hotkeys, and then start scrolling down like your life depends on it, And same thing for the mic and aux. It's right here. You can see how I have like K, Adric, and all that, right? That's because I have another web source that's linked into the thing. So that allows me to like, let's say if I have like, music playing, if I have game playing, if I have like, someone else's stream, right? I can mute and unmute them by, click to talk, right? And there's also push to talk, push to mute, your normal Discord settings. But yeah. There we go. Back to normal. Anyone else? Oh yeah, a macro keyboard or a macro pad or anything is very nice. My problem with using another keyboard as your macro thing is your Windows normally considers all your keyboards to be the same keyboard or whatever. So a macro keyboard is yeah, a Stream Deck or something else is really nice as well. But most people never use the numpad, so you can also use the numpad and all that as your macro keyboard if you want. Oh yeah, programmable things are really nice.
Yeah, I want to address that. Before I got a Stream Deck, I used to use a macro numpad, and
Yep,
Windows actually has a function there that you never use because most modern keyboards use F1 to F12 for the
yep, yep.
top row, but it actually exists in Windows. You can actually go F13 to F24, which don't affect the keyboard. So I remapped those ones to special functions,
Oh, nice. That's
as
super
well as
cool.
it goes from G1 to G24 as well.
That's actually super dang useful, man.
Yeah, so if you take that and you reprogram that macro key, you actually have a set of keyboards that don't affect like your gaming or your daily whatever stuff.
Yep, yep. That must be super useful for like, using Stream Decks and everything, and then you can just use tape or whatever on the other keys. uh, but yeah, that should be everything unless you guys have any questions. Wow, that was almost 45 minutes or 40 minutes, I guess. I'll give some time to see if you guys have any questions. Osu do be kind of annoying though. Osu do be very hard. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of different like key types and everything. I don't really know too much about it. Most people prefer the MX Reds. I do agree, they're very popular. um, nice, nice. And that seems like safe for us ending the stream. um, I'll keep like a minute until the 45, I guess.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, well, if people are still coming up with questions, like, thank you so much for taking the time out of your Saturday to be able to teach us more about how to use the audio settings in OBS and also other freeware software as well. It's really useful.
Yeah. It's always fun teaching people and all that stuff, right? And like, it's not really too much of a hassle teaching guys this stuff because I do it like daily pretty much. I've had like, like if you have any questions, you have anything else, post it and ask a mentor, ask it in the DMs and everything. And even after the stream or like, even off stream and everything, I'm happy to teach everyone if you guys have any questions, And Sunday, aka the day before Monday when I have to do all my work. But it's 45 now. I'll be ending the stream. If you were shy, ask the questions after. I'll stay on for a few minutes. 3, 2, 1, wait, I should probably just raid someone. Let me raid someone. Start raid. One viewer. Never mind, that's probably just me. Never mind. Goodbye.